evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey sister, how you doing?
Hey, sister, I'm doing well. Can't complain at all. It's a good Sunday, I guess.
Well, we
Well,
don't
for
need
me.
to yeah, well, we don't need to complain because what do complaints get you? How about that? Huh,
Right.
yeah. What do complaints get you anyway? Hey Jody, thank you for tuning in
Hey,
and
Jody.
being here. I see
Jody's
she
still gonna
is.
need to come on to the show now.
Yes, Jody, you got to come on to the show. I see she's representing there for the upcoming
Right.
South Atlantic Region Conference. I see that little frame there.
All
Wow,
right.
wow, wow. So, folks, we ask you all the time if you like Hey Sister, share Hey Sister. Hey Sister is for a friend. So share it. Let them know that we here. I know folks are watching because people will telling me, "Oh, I watched Hey Sister. I listened to Hey Sister." So if you watch us live or you catch it in the replay, you tune in on YouTube or your favorite place where you catch your podcast, share with a friend. Tell them to subscribe, to like, to follow and let us know about how you're experiencing Hey Sister and if you have something that you want us to talk about. Let's see what else. Oh, join us in the comments. That's where the action happens, in the comments. Now, my sister and I, we were on a little bit of a break. As you know, we've been gone for 2 weeks. So where you been, girl?
I'm trying to remember where was I 2 weeks ago. I had something. Oh, you know what? I had to do I believe that was when I had to do the first what's the day? Yeah, the first time conference attendee workshop for those who will be attending the Far Western Regional Conference for Alpha Kappa Alpha. We do a workshop and you know,
And your duties and responsibilities.
and so the timing didn't work out for me on that day. And then of course, this past Sunday, I think we were both
It was
it was
Easter
Easter
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And so we were both being with our parents
Mhm.
and spending that time back in the hometown.
And the good old Joe. So if you don't know about that Thibodeau, you better ask somebody about the Thibodeau. So anyway, tonight it's gonna be a real simple, quick conversation. We just want to talk about what's up. We've been gone for a couple of weeks. What's up? What's happening? What's good? What you're looking forward to? So we're gonna hit on all of those things. When I see what's up, when I say what's up, you know, the news day don't change around here, it seems.
Hmm.
Right? The news day don't change, the news cycle don't change. We're talking about people talking about, oh, there's so much crime, but everybody can have a gun. So we have a proliferation of weapons in our society. We have more and more mass shootings. And because we have the mass shootings, we get numb to just the individual murders and suicides and things that are taking place. It's like this society has become comfortable with death and destruction.
Hmm.
And as I say, what's up? I'm like, what's up with that? I don't know if that's an observation you have, but I'm like, what's up with that? Like, what's up with the mindset that I mean, we even passing laws now, like we have open carry places. We got anybody can conceal carry. You have to have more training, and I posted this other day. You have to have more training and a license to do fingernails, to do eyebrows, to do eyelashes. Right? You have to be licensed and you have to take so many continuing education credits. But we're putting weapons, not just the weapon, any type of firearm ammunition. You don't even have to study like what type of ammo, what each type of ammo, what it does. Like we don't you don't have to study any of that. Anybody can have it. Go on. What's up with that?
I wish I knew. Um, I have my theories about why we think it's okay to that everybody who wants to have a gun can have one. I have
Mhm.
my theories about why that is the case, but you know, in my theories, then that would mean we are just not probably very good people as a whole, right?
Mhm.
As humanity, because in my theories, it's I feel like you're either hoping that these weapons get in the hands of the people that you want to get rid of, that you don't consider to be desirable, or who can't help you further whatever cause you're trying to further, or you want to be in a position to destroy other people and ruin lives and ruin families. And I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but clearly that's what again, you just told me about Dadeville, Alabama, another mass shooting, 16-year-old birthday party. I don't feel like there unless you go to this birthday party with the intent of hurting people or killing people, you just don't usually we didn't bring guns to birthday parties. We didn't, do these things. And so yeah, I gotta believe that, man, that suggests that we're as a whole, not individuals, but as a whole, not very good humans if we are this content on seeing people destroyed, lives destroyed, people killed, and we just keep rolling. But we continue to create laws that allow for more and more, like you said, the proliferation of weapons. Um, yeah, we have more weapons than we have people, and or more guns than we have people, and we're not getting safer. It's like the death
Mm-mm.
penalty that was implemented, and it's not deterring crime. So we have to start asking ourselves, if the things that we're doing aren't working, shouldn't we start doing something new?
Well, we would think so, but we know about the definition of insanity, and I think we have a lot more insanity out there. So, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So,
Yeah, but the challenge that I have is that clearly then the people who are doing the same thing, if you look at how these laws are moving state to state, then the people who are the insane ones are the ones that we've empowered. And that's a problem. That's a problem if we're empowering insane people, because you can't you can't tell me the insanity is coming from the folks who are just pulling the triggers. It may well come from them, but it's also coming from the people who, again, can see the numbers and
mhm,
see statistically that these states that have these looser gun laws also have an increase in crime and violence. And I just, Dr. King was fond of explaining things like only light can drive out darkness and only love can conquer hate. So it's just funny because people will, invoke Dr. King for their purposes, but then they don't make that correlation that if only love can conquer hate, then how is getting more guns going to deter violence? Like,
mhm.
it doesn't happen, obviously, because we've been trying it that way for a while.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like I said, I scratch my head on a regular basis as I turn on the news and I wonder what's up. So there's this other story recently where this young man, what's up with this? So I think he's a 21-year-old National Guard, Air National Guard or whatever, who released these secrets out, military secrets. And what I was scratching my head like, what's up with that? So he shared it with his friends on his Discord, and he didn't think it was gonna go any further. He just wanted to share it with his friends because he just wanted to show that he had access to this stuff, right? Like it was make himself feel good about himself, I guess. And so
Everybody doing it for the gram. Everybody wants
everybody's
likes.
doing it for the gram, for the social, for the like, for that feeling of acceptance or community. What's up with that? And it got me to thinking, because I thought back to the Chelsea Manning case. I thought back to the Edward Snowden. I thought back to, there was another one that was like a high profile case. And I thought back to those because there were different intentions there. But
Mhm.
in this case, I'm wondering, are we going to see more of that? Younger people who are in this generation that is very much steeped in social acceptance through these
Mhm.
platforms and on these channels, that are going to be in positions where they have access, whether it's government information. But I just think about those who work in banking institutions, those who work in human resources, like, who have access to private information and data, but like, oh, I'm going to show you what I know. Oh, well, like, they might be having a conversation with a friend like this on a online platform, and like, well, let me show you what I got, and
Mhm.
I'm like, I
Mhm.
can see more of that happening. What's up with that? Like, do we really have to train people on, like, what confidential means and what secret means? But hell, I mean, we got the former president, the current president, the former vice president, all brought top secret stuff to their house. So,
Well, what's interesting, because as I was just skimming that article about this airman, it's very interesting that Kevin McCarthy chose to tweet, "The Biden administration has failed to secure classified information. And through our committees, Congress will get answers as to why they were asleep at the switch." That is very interesting to me that he would say that. So I hope that we bring up everybody's clearly been asleep at the switch, because we're spending so much time arguing about things that are nonsensical and don't really matter.
mhm.
We're so steep in our partisan beliefs, and they're just beliefs, because so much of it is not factual, nor is it grounded in um
It's not rooted in any facts or any data.
right, or even good policy, right? um so it's interesting that that's the Biden administration's fault. But yeah, I don't. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Recently with certain elections, we've talked about how Gen Zers and the younger people really are out there, doing things differently. They're just not taking it, even with the conversation around the two young women, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, about, hey, these young people are different. They just not sitting back. I mean, I guess if I believe that he was revealing this information in order to open up some level of dialogue about things that our government is involved in and we need to make changes, if I believe that that was why he was doing this, i might I might understand. At least I might not agree with his
So if he was
tactic.
doing the Edward Snowden thing, even though Edward Snowden is now, still can't come back to this country and is still living over there in Russia. Yeah.
Right. I mean, yes. If he was doing it on some sort of principle thing, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the methods. But I mean, I did grow up. I watched Scandal while I was growing up, so we know. We were like, they got all kind of secrets that you know. I know it's fictional, people, but you all understand what I'm saying. So if he was trying to do some sort of, if he felt like he had some altruistic motives, I guess I could understand it. But if he's just doing it for likes, for popularity, for people to say, "Oh my goodness, look at him. He has top secret information." Then that's absolutely problematic, that this is the place we're in, that people will actually clearly ruin their lives. And
Yeah.
maybe this is why people liked swarm so much because
Okay.
clearly
Hold, put a pin on that. We're gonna come on and talk about it. So Rosalind said, yes, we do have to train folks on confidentiality. I think we have to have a whole. How did
we
he
have
get
to level set on
access?
definitions.
Yes, 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 yes. I
Cause
like that.
it's a lot of, everybody always talk about, snitches get stitches, but as DL Hewley said, no, they get immunity,
Hmm.
I- clearly we don't know when to keep stuff a secret and when not to. We have got it reversed. We talk
Hmm.
about snitching. If somebody is committing crimes in your neighborhood and you see them committing these crimes, please tell on
Tell
them.
on them.
But if somebody is deciding that they're going to leak government secrets, and we're already, in my opinion, very entrenched in a war between Russia and Ukraine, we're very entrenched to say we're not, quote
At
unquote, in
war.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah. That might not be that might be something you want to keep confidential. So I think we got to level set on what these definitions are, because people clearly don't know what a secret is, what's confidential, what those terms mean before, and everything is up for grabs, I guess.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with that. So definitions, terminology, and operation standards. Like we all need to know they mean the same thing. However, we talked about again, so he's in this generation that grew up revealing everything.
Right.
So
Right.
they think nothing is secret. Everything should be told. I'm going to tell everything. I'm going to show everything. I'm going to do everything. And I'm going to up it, up it, up it, up it, up
And
it,
if
right?
you actually criticize me for that, I mean, then something is wrong with
With
you,
you,
because
because you old. You a boom. Go old boy, boomer or
you're
whatever.
old,
Yeah.
but also because I'm authentic and I'm being real and I am, all these things, and then you're shaming me
Yeah.
because I am telling my truth.
I'm
Some
shaming you because I'm saying I don't want to see the crack of your behind. Like when you out in public. Like, I'm sorry.
or I'm shaming you because you're on you take the time to put on a recorder, to start hit record on your phone when you're committing a crime,
Yeah.
or when you're degrading your children, or when something is clearly very staged. I mean, that's not shaming you. This is a bad example, but like the guy who decided to say he had 7 children by 7 different women, and he decided to do a whole video about how um they want him to take care of these kids, and it ain't his fault that he don't, because he told them from the beginning he didn't want no kids. So don't try to make him take care of these kids. He offered to pay for abortions and all of these things, and I'm like, you probably could have kept all that to yourself,
What's up with that? But
but
this is
because you say it and now people got an opinion about it, then it's like you're trying to shame me for but I'm not changing my position. No one's trying to shame you. You leaked all your data, and now we're gonna comment on it.
right. Yeah. And it's very, very interesting. But this is that generation. And people consequences, right? So now he about to realize, oh, I can't be in the military and then share military information because now I'm going to jail. Right.
And
So
I bet
now
the friends he wanted to show off for ain't about to put nothing on his books.
nan none. Okay. And so now he's going to bear out these consequences of his ignorance, stupidity, hubris, or just being a product of this generation that just wants to share everything, lay bare everything, and think that it doesn't have any consequence. And
Right.
here you go, Jody. Yep. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Ding, 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 ding. He's won that award. He's going to jail. But I think also this generation has grew up seeing some high profile people not receive consequences for their
Mhm.
behavior. But what they don't understand is they don't have them kind of lawyers.
Well, that is true.
Because to not receive those consequences, they paid handsomely for that type of legal counsel, right? If
Mhm.
you don't have that type of bag, just don't do stupid stuff. I don't know.
Agree.
Anyway, what's up, sister? What else is what's up? What's up? You won't talk about?
Oh man, there was something that just came to my mind, and I don't know. It's it went away.
Okay.
I can't remember what was it. Ah, it was something else about just I don't know. It's a lot that's up that again, partially even and I should write things down when they come to my mind, but uh partially is that well, we have to talk about the fact that our brothers in Tennessee were reinstated.
Let's talk about the just tens.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Justins.
But then there's that leak audio.
That leaked audio that I shared.
More leaking.
You have the girl. Do you have a link for that so you could drop it in the
Oh, let
comments?
me find it. Well, I just tried to drop something in the comments and it didn't work. I don't know if that's because I was
Okay.
talking about what I was talking about, but let me see.
Well, I'll give y'all a flavor of it. So there was audio leak. So we know Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, who are both House of Representative members in the state of Tennessee. They were expelled a week or so ago because following a shooting, another mass shooting of children and people working at a school, um, there was a protest, and there were a lot of students that came to protest on at the House of Representative, and they joined them with another member, Miss Johnson. I can't remember her first name, a colleague, and when they voted to, I guess, um, reprimand them, or because they broke the quorum and they didn't follow the rules of that body. Well, they were chastised, and then they moved and voted to expel. And of course, when they expelled, the two young black men were expelled, but not the more seasoned white woman.
Mhm.
And so then that Republican leadership and group, they decide to have a meeting. And now here the thing. I don't, and they were fighting, arguing back and forth with each other about, because I guess, because the lady, she did not get expelled by one vote. And they were talking to that person, because I'm disappointed because you didn't do what you said you was going to do.
Hmm.
And I've been called a racist more than the last few days I've ever been called in my life. But y'all didn't do what you said you was gonna do. And if they would have just apologized, or if they would have just did this, or if they would have just did that, because we have to preserve. What did they say? They had to preserve their
Let's see.
republic, honey. They
Yeah.
had to preserve. Y'all go and check that listen to that leaked audio of them having their private conversation. And I just said to myself, self, why do people still think that there are still private conversations when they in these bodies and chambers? What's up with that?
This is what was said. I listened for the last 3 days to Democrats Sam McKenzie, Jesse Chisholm, Antonio Parkinson trashes as racist. Zachary said, Zachary being one of the representatives, Representative Jason Zachary of Knoxville. And he goes on to say, I've never had anybody call me a racist, and for the last 3 days, all I've heard from them is how this is the most racist place. One of them, even white supremacists. We have to realize they are not our friends. They can smile, and that doesn't mean
Oh
I can't be
yeah.
polite to them, but they are not our friends. He continued. They destroy the republic and the foundation of who we are, or we preserve it.
Who
That
was
is the
they, girl?
that is the
He kept
reality of
saying
where we are right
Democrat.
now.
The
And if the
Democrats,
last
they are
three
not
days
our friends.
Right. And if the last 3 days have not proven that, then you need to find a new job. So, I mean, none of it, like, first of all, none of y'all are friends with each other. Period, point blank. That don't have to do with Democrats or Republicans. You're not even friends with these people who you calling just because they're in the GOP. Because clearly somebody recorded the conversation and leaked
Because
it,
it was
right?
only them.
It's only you. So clearly you are friends with no one. You might want to start there. And second, this whole idea of wanting to destroy the republic. I really would like to understand, and this goes back to even the when Donald Trump repurposed Ronald Reagan's Make America Great Again. I am just trying to understand, when was the republic destroyed? Like, at what point are we talking about for you?
Right.
Like, when was America great for you such that you want to go back to it? I just
Mhm.
want, I'm not saying that eh, look, I my experience in America is completely different from that of an older white man in America. And people don't like to just say that. It is a completely different experience. So there are people who are fundamentally suggesting that their lives have been destroyed over the last few years, that they are um they have as Chris Rock said, they have things to take back. Who you taking it back from? Because the way it looked like to us, it's still y'all. I mean, even of these two brothers that were expelled, what is the makeup of the entire body?
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
y'all, two is too much, five is too much. When you're a clear majority in that body, like, it baffles me, because I'm always like, well, exactly what period were you feeling really good about life and society? And let us, and then tell me so I can go back and at least give you the perspective from where I was sitting. I get it. It might have been really awesome for you. So I'll just use the time frame. The early 1980s may have been really awesome for some folks. All I remember, and I was a kid, was that I lived in Louisiana and the oil industry was clearly going through some things, and people were getting laid off. And this industry that had propped up the state had, big companies were moving out. New Orleans had been this epicenter of uh the economic crossroads, being the port and the oil and gas. And then it was like oil and gas was going to Houston, and so much was going to Atlanta. So my experience was just different.
Mhm.
I'm just curious to know, like, at what periods of time are these people envisioning? So when they say that these Democrats are destroying the republic, here's the other thing. I hate these terms, right? Because I was having a conversation earlier, and I'm like, we also talk about level setting on definitions and things. We really have to figure out, like, we have to say, when you're talking about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, what's the time period we talking about?
Mm.
Because these things have changed. The words are the same. We're
Mm.
using the same words,
Mhm. Speak on it, sister. Go
but
ahead.
these
Speak
things
on it.
have changed significantly. So it's so funny to me when I read folks on the book, when they get up in arms and they start letting the truth slip out of their mouths, and they're like, I would never vote Democrat, or Democrats aren't our friends. Well, Strom Thurmond and all them used to be Democrats at one point.
Mhm.
Senator John Kennedy, who swears by his foolery,
Mhm.
was once labeled a Democrat. So Like even all of that, I'm
So
like,
was Donald Trump. They they
so
they
so
they
was their Lord and Savior
Savior
Donald
Donald
Trump.
Trump. Yes,
Yes,
they Lord and Savior Donald Trump was a Democrat. Michael Bloomberg. You can go down and down, all up
right.
and down the spectrum, honey.
And maybe those were the good old days
Hmm.
when they were the Democrats, and I guess the others, I don't know. So yeah,
What's up
that's
with that? What
they.
what's up with that? What's up with the audacity? As one of the Justins, I think it was Jones, said, you have a member in this body who's currently in their seat who urinated on someone else's seat. You have someone in this body who has domestic violence
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
case against them, and they still sitting in that, and that they expelled them because they were actually because they stood up and vote in protest in solidarity with children who left school to come down there and say you need to do something because everybody don't need a gun and we just had these babies shot.
Right.
Child boo.
And
What's
this
up
is
with that?
and what's up with, like you said, if they had just apologized, yeah, I am so tired of the if we just would have complied, if we would just apologize, if these rules are these the respectability politics first and foremost.
Hmm. Miss
Complying
me
has
with it.
missed me with it because complying has not saved our lives. Apologizing has not saved our lives. Like you literally, again, people have lives have been destroyed
Hmm.
for less than
Well, you
and
apologize when there's something to apologize
apologize
for.
for. Right.
But when standing in solid, I mean, but because I'm not because the rule of I'm not supposed to speak on the house, like stand up and speak and object on the house floor. Well, maybe the rule is trash because
Right.
sometimes we need to start objecting to some things, and we need to start objecting in a very loud manner, clearly, because otherwise, folks are not being heard. Now we have something here off topic. I just want you to know what color lipstick that is, girl. That's nice. Hmm.
I don't know anymore. I can tell you well, you know the brand. Y'all know the brand. We pop the brand before. They gonna have to give us some money. I ain't gonna say it again.
Yeah, we ain't saying it again. She'll DM you that on a later note.
Right.
Okay, ma'am.
But I was going where I was going with that was, because you and I hadn't talked about this yet either. We I think we alluded to, well, no, I don't know if we did, Donald Trump and being um the
All
whole
right. Yeah.
arraignment and indictment, whatever. But we didn't talk about how y'all trying to talk to this black man like he just got out of law school 2 seconds ago
What's up with that?
and doesn't know what he's doing. Now, granted, I will give you, I will give you that his predecessor chose not to take the path, not to go down the road. But clearly,
But
there's
his
some.
predecessor even said he had information. He said I had all this other stuff doing too. Just did not get to the top.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that predecessor also had several people quit from under him because he did not pursue it as well.
Well, and also new information was also provided.
Absolutely.
And so again, going back to, we live in this culture where we want to put everything out in front. So you have this man who owns the National Enquirer, which was basically some of the first forms of social media, if you will, where there's a specific campaign out there to destroy anyone who has a negative thing to say, put out bad stuff about that person, dig deep into their lives, but then pay for stories that were negative towards the former White House resident, pay for stories about him to go away and not be
Mhm.
published. And it's like, um it's just interesting to me that now that, he obviously has spilled the beans, there's more information that the brother had. And so
Mhm.
it's this idea that as a black man now, like we were talking about Jim Jordan, and these folks want to talk about it, like he got to come see them.
Mhm.
Who is you, boo? Don't nobody got to come see
See
y'all.
you? Mm-mm. Because you have no jurisdiction over this local municipality. Okay?
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
And I'm just
And he didn't commit no crime by doing his job.
job, right. And quite frankly, if y'all had been doing y'all job, we wouldn't even be here.
How about that?
So yeah, I'm just like,
What's
y'all
up
gonna
with
stop
that?
playing in my face.
Ooh, child. Well, y'all are tuned in live right now to Hey Sister. We've been talking about what's up. Let's talk about what's good, sister. Let's talk about some good stuff. Because the what's up on the crazy, like what's up, the crazies, it is never ending. But what's good? What's good out there? What's good that's happening in the world? What's good that you want to celebrate and talk about?
Well, I was back at the crib over the last week. You were there part of the week, and I had the opportunity to go to New Orleans for the South Central Regional Conference was hosting, our South Central Region was hosting their annual conference, and I attended the public meeting and had got a chance to hear our sorority sister Sunny Hostin from The View speak. And I thought she definitely had some wonderful, wonderful points. And I would not do her speech justice, so I won't
Hmm.
even attempt to try to summarize everything. But one of the things that stood out for me was she basically said, we have to decide who we are not. And I thought that was very interesting. And she further explained that, at some points, we decide who we are, right? What we want to do. And it was aligned to this idea that we have two major days in our lives: the day we were born and the day we figure out why. And she was saying, and she also believes there's sort of this third day, and that third day is the day you decide who you are not. And so she conveyed a story about that day came for her when she was 7 years old, and that her uncle, who had been a very attractive man and a bit of a Lothario, had been having an affair with a married woman, and that woman's husband came and found him and stabbed him about 20 times.
Mm.
And she said, and she remembers everything about that day like it was yesterday, and that I guess she went with him or ran with him to the bathroom of their apartment or their home in the Bronx projects, and that she remembers her mom and her grandmother helping him get to the hospital, and that he didn't die from those wounds, but nobody was arrested. There was no investigation. And she kind of decided that day that she would not live a life of violence.
Mm.
Like she was not going to um basically succumb to her environment, or her environment was not going to be who she was.
Mhm.
And so I thought that was very, very interesting, because
Mhm.
again, we often give lots of thought to who we want to be when we grow up, what we want to do, where we want to live, who we want to marry. Like, we give a lot of thought to those things, but not as often do we say, and for me, it was, I just don't want to live a life of mediocrity.
Mm. Come on, sister. What's good?
So
Hey.
I thought that was good, right? To I don't want to live a life of mediocrity. I know that in this life, is talking about good. I think that term is an interesting one, because we can live a very good life, but then it's like, but we can also live a great life. We can live an exceptional life. We
Mhm.
can, you know, we there are so many other words that we can use. And so when I think about who I do not want to be or what I do not want to have, that is it. That is one of the top things. I do not want to have a life of mediocrity.
Mm, girl, you better say that then. Honey, you talk about the word good. You know, I had to Google the definition real fast. It got a lot of things for the meaning of good to be desired or approved of. Let's see, pure, moral, conscientious, meritorious, worthy, exemplary, upright, honey, morally right or righteous. Good means a lot of wonderful things. So I want some good. I want some more goodness in my life. Look, Geneva said that part. I don't want to live this mediocrity, and we don't have to accept that. We don't have to accept that. And I think that in and of itself is a good thing. That you don't have to succumb
Mhm.
to the circumstances. You don't have to succumb to whatever you might be born into, born with. Um, I think about people even who may not have been born into something, but have been dealt a set of circumstances, like a Steve Gleason. I watch him as he's navigating this ALS, and who was a former NFL football player, and looking at his body, how it's been ravaged by that disease, but still seeing how he's able to find joy
Mhm.
and be good in spite or despite the circumstances, right? So I think that's a beautiful key takeaway from that time. So shout out to all the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha who was clowning at South Central Regional Conference. I'm kind of mad that I didn't stay for the whole weekend, because when I heard SWV performed at the gala last
Oh,
night,
what? I didn't even hear that.
girl, they had SWV perform at the gala,
That's
and
why Taj was talking. Taj said, "We going on tour." I
so
don't know about them other folks.
yes, they had, and South Central will always have a good concert.
They
So they
will.
had SWV perform. They also had for their acapella night, well,
Well,
their
we had
intimate, they had the
Manny,
DJ Manny fresh,
the fresh, fresh.
fresh. So they did it up, honey. And I was like,
They're
that's
in the Silver Foxes. We got to talk about our Silver
oh, honey, they had the
Foxes.
whole Silver Fox gang at their and I've seen so many people posting with their pictures with the Silver Foxes, honey. They did it. But they
They
always do
do.
it when it's in New Orleans.
They do. They do.
And then it was coupled with the return of the French Quarter Festival, which I love the French Quarter Festival.
Yes, and Frida was performing at the French Quarter Festival, so I know a lot of people were excited
So
about
I saw the
that.
SWV for. I'm like, word up. Yeah, you was like, I should have been back in New Orleans for this one. Yes. I was lucky when I went. I can't remember how many years ago when Elder Borge performed
Mhm.
at the region conference. Huh? And it was in New Orleans. So they always, when they come to New Orleans, they put it on right. But Frida also performed as a part of, I don't know if y'all saw my little school with this thing.
Tell us, girl.
Girl, so the Xavier University
Down at the Xavier.
down at the Xavier, so they're doing this, I guess, collaboration in the um soon to come Bridgerton prequel story about Queen Charlotte. So they had a spring waltz at the Xavier University. I don't know if Frida performed actually. Frida's done a music video about that, but they had an all woman brass band perform at the waltz. I saw a few of the glimpses of the photos. So Frida was busy this weekend. That's all I'm gonna
I
say.
bet. I bet.
So that is some good stuff as well. So I don't know. I In terms of what's good, I'm
Yeah, what's
looking
good with you, sister?
well, I'm coming up with my women's conference.
Yes.
So that's good. Um, but also what's good is today I got to attend the Links chapter here, did their celebration of arts, recognizing young people in visual and performing arts. And my daughter was one of those artists who was able to share their gift. And so she shared her gift around costume design, and something that she actually was recognized in the district theater um, competition for her costume construction and the whole thing that goes along with costume design. But I mean, there were dancers, there were singers, there were classical musicians. There are so many amazing, talented, young. The MC, he was 8 years old.
Mm.
So there's so many talented, amazing, young children that we need to celebrate more often.
Mhm.
And we need to catch them doing good stuff. So while on one hand we got bunch of teenagers acting a fool in Chicago,
Mm.
we got a bunch of them acting a fool out and we have so many amazing, wonderful, talented children that are doing great things who we just need to continue to celebrate. We need to continue to mold. We need to continue to recognize, because I'm waiting for that tide to shift where good is what's
Hmm.
happening. Like being
Mhm.
good is what's happening. Like where good, I'm not doing it for the likes. I'm doing it just because I'm excellent. Right? I don't need people to look at me to gawk. It's just because I'm a badass, right?
Mhm.
And where that shift is going to take place, and how is that shift going to take place? Because that's what I would like to see in our society, because we have moved towards um this dumbing down, and this you know you don't need to have expertise. You don't need to specialize. It's just this dumbing down. You don't need to have knowledge for knowledge's sake anymore, right? We've gotten to that place, and I'm looking for us to get back to place. Well, no, we want to know things just because we want to know some things. We want to be excellent in all things. I'm just looking for that tide to shift again.
We got to go back to wearing hats and gloves.
Come on, girl. Can we get them back?
Then maybe we'll get our minds together. If you had
Yeah.
to, if you had to do all that, put all them clothes on just to go to the grocery store, or because they used to dress.
Hmm.
They would dress. Our people would dress. So maybe
Absolutely.
we got back to that for just because it was a Sunday and I'm dressed up. I mean, not even just going to church, like going anywhere.
Hmm.
Maybe our attitudes would change. I know that's how I was taught. It was when you
When you look good,
dress,
hmm
look good, feel good, but when you're dressed a certain way, you behave a certain way. That's why we always gravitate to business attire for certain meetings, because you would expect, albeit between the U.S. government and Parliament, and they are showing us otherwise, but um US Congress and Parliament, but typically if you dress a certain way, you behave a certain way.
hmm
And so I'm hoping that we get back to that, where we, and I know that sounds so superficial, but I do think there's something to be said about that.
hmm I concur. I think that there's value in that level of care
Yes.
in the simple things. Because see, when you have the care in the small things, you will have care in the big
I
things.
mean, and when you think about it, I always go back to how in in many parts, but specifically in New Orleans, when black women were said that their hair was what was causing folks to I don't know, violate them,
Abuse them.
abuse
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
You know, so
It's
it
so
was
it was so alluring.
yes, it was very alluring. So then they were like, wrap your hair up. And it was done to to attempt to diminish our beauty, but in our true style that we are, we were like, okay, we're gonna adorn this. We're
Mhm.
gonna make it beautiful. We're gonna add, decorations to it. And then it was like, I mean, clearly that didn't change anybody from finding us alluring. So it just makes me feel like, when do we get away from, like you said, taking that care
Mhm.
in how we look and what we do? And because let me tell you, okay, hold on, I'm shifting gears, because I did see
What you saw, sister?
one of them bonnets
Mm.
in green with pretty girl on it
Mm.
outside, like literally outside. I was waiting for an Uber.
I don't have no pearls, but I'm clutching everything I got on my neck here.
And I just like, some stuff just doesn't even need to
I
be.
have a
Then
pearl
this,
necklace right here.
there you go.
Clutch it.
Some stuff doesn't even need to be made, much less put on your body.
That part. Some stuff doesn't even need to be made. But since it's all made in China, they don't know the history of the culture. We just need to stop buying it. How about that?
Yes, and for
Mm.
sure, for sure. So I wanted to say something else.
You had put
Okay.
a pin. We had put a pin in something you supposed to come back to.
I don't know what I put a pin in, but
Hmm.
we
You
have
tuned in
not
live to
talked
Hey Sister.
about, huh?
I say you tuned in live to Hey Sister.
Yes, like, follow, share, subscribe. Um, this Freaknik documentary. The
Woo!
people been up and on.
Child.
The folks is
Listen.
concerned. It's concerned.
I'm gonna put it in the comments. I'm gonna ask a question. Are you concerned? I'm not concerned.
I'm not concerned either. And I don't know if that means I really was led a very boring life, or if it was just on a decline by the time I was in college.
It was
Um,
definitely on the decline. It was at its height. That 94 year, that was the year, and I did not go that year. It was definitely at its height around 94, 95. Um,
okay, well,
so
technically I was still in high school, so I guess that's a good reason I wasn't there.
right. So listen. Um, I've seen all the comments, and so now I've seen other people, because again there's some different things. Like I said, I ain't got they could do a documentary on Freaknik because I wasn't there. They could do a
Was it?
documentary on the Kappa Beach party down there in Galveston. I wasn't there neither. They
Was
could do
it?
one on the Black College weekend, a Black College reunion in Daytona Beach. I wasn't there neither. Now
Was it?
some of y'all been to all of them things. I wasn't at none of them, so I ain't worried about it. But even if they did buy a classic, they might only catch me coming out at 5 o'clock in the morning and thinking it was like 11 o'clock at night still, but the sun started shining, and I was like, wait. When we walked outside, the sun was shining. I was like, but it was dark in this club we was in. How the sun shining? Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
I don't even think,
Um,
and I've been to a plenty
you
by
might
classic
catch me at
outside.
one of those. Yeah, look, I'm glad I
Mhm.
couldn't get a ride to ATL when I was on here. Honey, listen, my friends was going, I had to work. I worked, and I was like, I don't know who going and how many people gonna be staying in the room. I don't
Right.
know. Listen, yeah, all right. Hey, girl, you good too?
But
But
apparently there are some grandmothers that are concerned.
well, and so then someone posted, I guess, where there was a news story about all of the women who were assaulted during that
Oh,
time.
yes. Oh, okay. I thought you was gonna say like there was some women who had decided they was like, I'm gonna just confess now.
No, there was some women who were assaulted. Like, because I know somebody was like, well, if you talk about that USL Step Show weekend, then you might see me on that one. And I was like, oh, I was
Mm.
there, but I wasn't out in that. I didn't never go to
I mean, I
Strawberries.
just went
I didn't
step
go to
and I
Strawberry.
said
I ain't.
I lived a very boring. college existed. Clearly, I didn't wait to step and wait on back to Baton Rouge.
Girl, but again, we didn't. We spent the night. We did spend the night. I'll just say that. We spent the night. Yeah. We went to USM. We did that too. Went to the ski week.
I didn't go to ski week at USM either.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Nope. I need a complete do-over,
We
clearly.
spent the night there too. Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter because whatever you see me, it's all good.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, okay, so yes, I didn't do any of those things.
Uh-huh.
Clearly, I was really, let me just make a confession at this point. I really did want to be the top graduate
Mm.
at the university. And then when that was dashed really early on, it was like, well, then I want to be the top graduate in my department. I think I did have the highest GPA in my department for the semester that I graduated, and
Mhm.
I graduated in the fall, so it was probably a little bit easier than if I had graduated in the spring. But like, you don't really get too many prizes for that. But I in college, I literally had I had some really crazy beliefs. I really felt like I needed to prepare myself for being a wife. And I needed to be just
Girl, where
yes.
you got that from? Cause you sure ain't get that from me.
I don't know, but it has not worked out for me because I was like, I literally there. I'm not gonna say no names because people would know who I'm talking about, but there were some young ladies at my school who I mean, they would wear a cat suit to class and was on the stage with the hot boys when they came, and both of them girls became lawyers and they married. Here I go, try to be strategic, try to plan stuff, trying to keep myself together, not go to the freakniks and the
You didn't go out during Bayou Classic?
I did go out during Bayou Classic, but it was like all I remember is going eat and
Now
going
Xavier
walk.
had some. Now see, Xavier had all nighters.
Well, I wasn't invited to no all nighters at Xavier. I mean, my school was playing in the Bayou Classic. I will walk the street Bourbon, but then that hence the reason I don't have to do that now. Because I heard some little girls saying now, like, oh, well, let's just change clothes and go to Bourbon. I was like, please don't do that. Like, don't do that for yourself. But gee.
Exactly, Roz. I did not tell you to do that in college. No, I did not.
Yeah,
I was.
I have reflected. I have really thought about it. And I was like, I really was like, okay, it cannot be this person and don't want to do this. And just like I did stuff, don't get me wrong. But I somewhere in my mind, I just thought like I had to prepare myself to be a good wife material.
Mm,
So sad because 45, not 45, but 20 plus years later, still ain't nobody wife. So clearly that strategy, and that's probably one of my biggest regrets. Like I really do be like, I should have partied more. I really should have partied more. Maybe had to drop a few more classes.
girl, we had that Riverboat Hallelujah
And I went to the River, I believe I went to Riverboat Hallelujah with you before, which is,
with
I,
me.
well, I don't know who else I would have went to the Riverboat Hallelujah with.
Mm, it might have been.
I only went once.
It might have been when you came for that step show that time.
That or for Spring Fest. I did come to y'all
Did
Spring
come for
Fest one
Spring
time.
Fest.
My dad claims he saw me on the news when I was in high school. That's why he knew I was at the Bayou Classic. I was like, I mean, I was there, but you didn't see me on the news.
Mm.
He's like, yes, I did. I'm like, no, you didn't. Anyway,
I'm just gonna leave all of that right there. I ain't worried about the documentary. Ain't
no, I'm not.
concerned about it. And hopefully it's done well.
Yeah.
And really, I know they've tried to bring it back a few times, but it certainly never would be what it was. But there also was a lot of damaged. There were a lot of women who were
Violence and sexual assaults
violent and
and
sexual assault and all of that. And so, as people are talking about the women worrying about coming out, some of the men need to be worried about because these states have changed the laws about the statutes of limitations. So, I'm gonna say
Mm,
some of y'all might need to be concerned a little bit more. How about that?
wow, that's a different perspective. I
It's a
didn't
whole
expect that.
different perspective and take, huh? But it's real. It is
Yeah.
real.
Well,
So,
I will say, to your point, I hope it is done in good taste and is done in a way. And when I say good taste, I mean done in a way that feels nostalgic because there are, I mean, this is 50 years of hip hop, you know.
mhm.
I haven't seen as much as I would have liked to have seen thus far
Oh,
about
there was a great documentary on PBS.
no, no, with Public Enemy with
Yeah,
Chuck D. Yeah,
yeah.
I've watched that. I'm just saying I thought I would see a lot more.
Mhm,
And so if it's done in a nostalgic sort of way, and also, to remember, because here's the thing about this, what I will say about Bayou Classic, and I'm hoping that this is conveyed in the Freaknik documentary, if this even is a real thing. Um, that I remember Bayou Classic when students from across the country came
yes.
and you were almost hard pressed, and maybe this is why I didn't do as much party. You were almost hard pressed to find somebody who actually went to school with you, because it would be like so many black college students from predominantly white institutions who had never had this experience of being around so many black kids in one spot, college students in one spot, to those of us who did attend HBCUs making the pilgrimage.
Mhm,
Um, it was and it's so completely different now, and I hate that this generation doesn't get to see how
mhm,
that was a thing. And so I hope that's what's conveyed in Freaknik, that you had students from across the country that descended upon Atlanta, and it was just it was black students wanting to enjoy themselves and have those rites of passages that we unfortunately don't get a lot of times in our culture.
mhm.
So,
Yes. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, with that being said, we are going to sign off for tonight in this episode of Hey Sister. Thank you all for tuning in. Come back. We'll be back. Wait, we got a conflict for next Sunday, right, sister?
well, yes, I will be at the Far Western Regional Conference, and I'll be on the flight back, coming back
Yeah.
actually.
So we probably won't have a Hey Sister with the two of us, but we might do change it to another day so that you can have both of us with you. So you all have a wonderful rest of your week and focus on the good.
What's good?
What's good? Good night, everybody.
Good night.